Greetings. This is Justin Allen, the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking to Aurora, who is a family nurse practitioner. She recently started a DPC practice that specializes in a variety of niche services, including hormone replacement therapy, IV infusion, and weight loss. She's needing assistance with gaining traction with the business, marketing, budgeting, and how to increase her chances for success in her first year. Hey, Aurora, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for hopping on here. So let's go ahead and jump in this. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a nurse practitioner for? What sorts of things you've been doing?
Yeah, I first became a family nurse practitioner in 2020. Worked as an RN 17 years before that. Worked for a, not what I would call a traditional family practice. He was a small town physician that did offer hormone replacement therapy for men and women, medical weight loss. So I was able to get, some experience. Obviously, several years of really good experience under that. And, ended up leaving the practice unexpectedly in June of this year and went to work for another practice. Hated it, absolutely hated the setting, and did about 2 weeks there. And I told my husband, that's it, I'm starting my own practice. And that's literally how it went. I told him the day that I made the decision that I was leaving and started looking into doing this for myself.
Yeah. So you saw the light.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you started this practice how long ago, you said?
Yeah, I first started, I registered the business in July of this year, the month after I left. And, obviously there's a lot of red tape with the county and everything else to get the business going and get it ready. And just got my use permit recently in the last couple of weeks. And I have my grand opening this week, Wednesday, but I've already been seeing patients because I've had several from my previous practice that had been waiting on me to open.
Okay. So you've literally just been open for 2 weeks.
Yes,
basically.
I have.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is just a fresh startup. So how are things going so far? I know it's only been 2 weeks, but how's it going?
Yeah. I went through kind of a stressful period, just trying to get open because there was some permitting issues and things like that. But overall, I had everything ready for probably about 2 months. I had everything in the practice ready. And that was probably mistake number one, is that I had some inventory, including vitamins, that have expiration dates and stuff like that. Not anticipating the delays and everything, but overall, I've stayed surprisingly busy enough. Medical weight loss has probably been what's kept me the busiest over the last couple of weeks, from just, I have a chiropractor's office right next door. So some people literally just walked in through my door and, so I have a sign that pretty much says all my services on my window. So they came right in, and I've gotten stuff that way. And then I've just been seeing patients that have reached out to me after I left my last practice via social media, LinkedIn, you name it. They found me. They will find you. So
They
they
will.
found me. They found me, and they've just been waiting for me to open. So they gave me their information. I let them know, and I've been booking, pretty much seeing those patients, during the soft opening, if you want to call it. So, overall, that's been going good. I'm getting ready to do my opening a couple nights from now, my grand opening event. So I'll have that. And, I'm just like wondering what's after that. What should I focus on? You speak a lot about marketing and how important that is and how much you invest in that. And I feel that's an area I'm very weak in,
Well, let's just pause there for a second. So,
yeah.
yeah, okay, so let's just pause there for a second. Now, you were in a situation where you're getting a lot of patients that you were seeing before, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, do you need to market? Do you need to spend a lot of money marketing right now? The
Oh,
answer to
that'd be
that,
great if I don't have to.
yeah, the answer to that, is maybe not. Maybe you don't need to, I mean, there's plenty of nurse practitioners out there. There's plenty of businesses out there that never spend a dime on marketing, and they do well because they get a handful of people in the door and word of mouth spreads, and they
Mhm.
remain patient. Okay, that's the key. You remain
Mhm.
patient, and it organically grows itself. Okay,
Well,
so
that's
they're
kind of how I grew my last practice. It pretty much was just like that.
right. The one that you're working for.
The one I was working for, yeah.
Right. So, that's how it happens a lot of times, right? I mean, marketing is essentially a shortcut, okay, to success,
Mhm.
basically. Like, marketing is a shortcut to get people in the door as fast as possible, but it costs money. Okay, it's not
Yeah.
free, right? So that shortcut is going to
Mhm.
cost you a little bit of money. If you can remain patient, and you have these established people coming to see you, then you might not need to spend a whole lot. What would you estimate? How many people are going to come and, see you based off of people you've seen before? Just, a rough estimate.
Yeah, I mean, probably about 35 have reached out to me in the last few months that have
Okay.
left.
Okay.
They know other people that they bought to my previous practice to see me specifically that they're gonna let know. So that, that I'm open and what I'm doing. So I mean, it's really hard to tell, some people are really married to their insurance on a cash pay based practice. So, you know, um, but for the most part, they call me, they talk to me. I kind of let them know what my model is, and they're like, "Hey, I kind of like that compared to
Yeah.
the last place." And they, once they talk to me, for the most part, I'm getting about 100% of those that I actually talk to when
Okay.
we speak. And that seems to be going well because it's reasonably priced. A lot of them have high deductible plans, so they're already paying.
Right. So it doesn't even matter what,
Yeah.
like I had to get an endoscopy done. Just totally off topic here. I had to get an endoscopy done, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. And it was like, okay, so I have this insurance plan that I paid for. Right? They billed the insurance 800 total. The insurance paid
Oh my
140 or
God.
whatever. I'm like, what the hell am I even paying for? What is this? It's such a scam, you know?
It is.
Like
Yeah.
it's such a scam, and a lot of people, they know that, and they have these high deductible plans, and they're more than happy to pay you cash for it. So, anyways, just a little side note there. But okay, so you got 35 people that have voiced interest. Do you think those 35
Mhm.
people are actually going to book and see you?
Yeah. It's really, I don't know how best to predict that. I feel like I had a ton of loyalty. I know from my previous practice, just, the feedback I've gotten from patients that have come back, it's nurse practitioners, we're just different. We're different in how we take care of our patients. The connection, especially women that are on hormones, they feel devastated. So, that to finally have someone tell them, hey, this is what's wrong, this is why, and have them feeling well, there's a lot to be said about the value in changing their quality of life, right?
100% for sure.
So I like to think, that, maybe, and maybe this is just being, maybe 50% will come over,
Yeah,
it just depends.
yeah, yeah. You're not gonna really know how many people do you have scheduled?
How many people I've scheduled? Well, right now, as of now, I have probably about 3 to 4 appointments right now per
Three or four.
week.
per week. For how many weeks are you scheduled out right now?
So I'm scheduled 3 weeks out.
Okay.
But some of those folks have actually brought their spouses on for membership.
Okay.
They haven't scheduled yet. So,
okay. So you got like 15, 20 people?
Yeah.
Basically. Okay. Well, listen. Okay. For your first month, that's pretty damn good. Okay.
Okay.
Remember, I've said this before in the podcast, I've said it in articles and stuff, all you really need is 100 consistent patients. 100 consistent patients paying you, $150, $200 a month, and you have a profit margin of $100, $125 a month or whatever. I mean, you're hitting $10,000, $15,000 a month in profit, right? Off just 100 patients. So if you have 20 now, you're a fifth there, and you only been open a month.
Yeah.
Right. Like
and
that's
and not officially open, really. It's just
not even open.
Kind of been letting.
Right. So like pretty good. Okay. Like that's a good start. Okay. That's a fantastic start. If I could start a practice and have a guaranteed 20 patients the first 2 weeks, I would take that any day. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty good. So, so do you need to spend money on marketing? Right now, I would say, why don't you just hold off on it and just see kind of what happens over the next 3 to 4 weeks?
Okay.
You never know. Like, yeah, they bring their spouses. Oh, hey, I got a friend. That friend's got a friend. Like, you might be surprised, Obviously do the free stuff, have like your Google business listing set up and, your website and, no brainer stuff like that. Right. Yeah. Make sure that you get as many people as you possibly can, put as many reviews as they possibly can on that Google business listing. Okay. How much competition do you have?
Well, I'm in Orlando, Florida, so there's a lot of competition in a sense. I think I've spent probably about an hour every day just looking up the competition to see what they're doing, how they're offering. Actual providers, and this is scary to say, but actual providers that are doing it are minimal. Health and wellness places that are doing it, and they have a quote unquote, medical director. They're all over the place. But
health coaches, non-licensed people,
exactly,
medical director in the background just signing off on scripts because they just don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of that, but that true one-to-one, whether it's an NP or a PA or a physician practice that's doing hormones or doing weight loss. Weight loss is probably more heavily saturated. Hormones, not as much as far as a provider-led practice where that's who you're actually seeing and doing. Okay. So you might do pretty well then, right? So yeah, I anticipate that part will do well.
Yeah. And you have a brick and mortar, right? You have an actual location.
I do.
Is it on a main road? Like what's it?
It is.
Do you have a sign?
I do.
Is it decent size?
It is. This building doesn't allow anything on the actual, stucco building itself. It has to be on the door. But, I'm on the side of the building that's right on the street. There is quite a bit of traffic because I have some busy businesses next to me. So that's actually gotten me some unscheduled patients. Unscheduled patients that have come through.
Well, can you go out and put like a little sign or something out there, or flags, or
Oh my goodness, this area of the county, the only time they allow signs is on Saturday and Sunday. If not, I have to get it permitted. There's like the rules are super strict. I didn't even think about that before I selected the place, but yeah, they're pretty strict. They'll have people take them, like pick them up, put them out there.
Get the permit. If you can, can't be that hard, like it's an application and $50 or whatever, I would, that would be worthwhile. Something you can go set out there, like one of those little A-frame signs you can set out there, or a flag or something like,
I mean, I have something out there for grand opening day. So I'm actually going to have one of my kids watch it.
Well, one thing you could do, you could just get those cheap cardboard ones.
Yeah.
Get like 100 or so printed off and just go out there and stick it in the ground each day. And then when they take it, you just go out there and stick another one until they basically come up and tell you. Until they come up and tell you, be like, hey, you can't do this. You're going to get a fine. Oh, okay. Like, just wait till they say that, like, you're not going to jail for that, you're not
Oh,
getting a
I'm sure
huge
not.
fine for that, like it's a stupid rule. Like, I mean, that, if you wanted to do that, you could do that. You get 100 of those things
Hmm.
printed off for, $500 or something. Like,
Got it. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
hey, I can be a bit of a rebel, so I will do that
There you
myself.
go. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Uh, yeah. So, anyways, okay, cool. So, listen, that's super cheap. Your Google Business Listing's free. Your website, put a little money into it. Make sure it's, active. It
Yeah,
looks
that I
nice,
have done.
and then just see what happens over the next month or two. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of marketing right now. If you're gonna spend money on anything, maybe just a Google search ad, maybe put $500 a month at it or something, But
Hmm.
other than that, I would say hold off and just see
Okay.
what happens.
Okay.
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 Yeah. So sometimes simpler is better, and if you have some established patients that are following you, I mean, this is a cheat code basically that you're using. So
Yeah.
take advantage of it. Okay, cool. So any other questions about marketing?
Yeah. I've seen, obviously I'm on your Facebook page and I'm seeing, what other people are doing and, um, a lot of them seem to attend local events. Is that something you recommend? Like whether it be a bridal expo or some type of health thing? Like,
You
do you
know,
find value in that?
I've never done it.
Okay.
I've personally never done it. There's stuff like that in the city that I'm in, and I've gone to them before, or whatever, or the farmers market, and walking around, and I don't know. I personally don't see how that would really benefit my business all that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's some NPs out there that have done it, and it's worked out well for them. So
Hmm.
it's just one of those things you don't really know till you try it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it might be worth a Saturday afternoon to go give it a try and see, and if it was a total kind of a flop, then don't take it personally and just move on.
Hmm. Yeah, what I'm hoping is that I can get, at least what I tell my husband every day, I said, if I can just get 25, say, hormone members through the door, I know that that it will just grow, like a tree, because that's how I built my, I was seeing probably more than I want to see now because I'm trying to create a model that doesn't kill me. But I was seeing probably a good 100, 125 a week at my
Oh,
last practice.
geez. Okay.
Yeah. So I was very busy, very specifically. We did do primary care, but I saw a ton of hormones all the time and mostly from referrals. So I'm pretty confident that if I can get, a good group from my previous practice, maybe a good, 5 to 10 new patients that will eventually grow into something, based on word of mouth.
I think you're almost there already.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I say just be patient here. Give it a month or two, see what happens.
Hmm.
2 months
Okay.
from now, if you're kind of stagnant, you're not getting any new patients or anything, then maybe we can talk again about, some more specific marketing things that you can be doing. But I personally, I don't think I'd worry too much about it right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I'd
right.
say just do exactly what you're
Well,
doing. Provide excellent care, provide a good value, provide a good deal for people, and people will just come.
okay.
At my men's health clinic, to be honest with you, I barely spend anything on marketing anymore. I don't need to. You know,
Yeah.
my patients just find us on Google.
Got it.
50%, like that's a lot. That's just because we have, lots of reviews. We pop up number one as Men's Health Clinic. People are looking for us. So they just find us, Then the other
Mhm.
50% is a mixture of people driving by, word of mouth, that kind of thing. So I barely
Okay.
spend any money on marketing anymore. I mean, there gets to a point where you don't really need to spend all that much money once you become really established,
Yeah.
unless you're in the growth phase. If you're in a growth
Mhm.
phase where you're like, okay, I'm going to hire another nurse practitioner and I'm going to load up their schedule. Okay, well, then maybe you need to market and get some people in the door.
Mhm.
But for you
Yeah.
right now, single provider, it's not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're probably gonna get busy enough next year and a half. You're gonna be like, I really don't want to see a whole lot of new patients anymore.
Hmm.
That's probably what'll happen. And then you'll be emailing me for another, podcast conversation about how to grow your business and how to hire another nurse practitioner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
okay. Any other questions about marketing?
No, I think I'm good there.
Okay. So you mentioned that um like budgeting and expenses and that kind of a thing. So I guess walk me through any
Yeah.
kind of issues you're having.
So, I'm kind of like in the just coming out of the startup budget phase, right? Where I've spent everything I've needed to kind of get things going. I bought, tried to listen to the advice of many other providers I spoke to that said, don't stock up on a bunch of stuff, and, in some areas, whereas I probably should have held back on that a little bit more with the vitamins, because the more it's like, oh, these have, high use dates, and I didn't even think about that. So I'm probably going to have a sale or something soon to make sure I don't lose money there. But basically where I'm at is, I wish I had a 1099 or a part-time job, and I'm still actively looking for that because, I just feel nice to be able to funnel some income towards the business and, as the business grows. And, that's been a bit of a challenge. So I really don't have much to work with, right now as far as capital, and not that I'm looking or need to at this moment spend stuff right now. I had quite a few medical weight loss in my first week opening that I didn't anticipate to have. It was unexpected. So then right away I'm like, oh, I got to get a couple more bottles of semaglutide, right? But you know, basically those visits paid for my next two bottles. So it's like,
Right.
at what point does that balance out? How do I?
Yeah. So buying inventory and finding that balance, there's no answer here. Like this is going to be solely dependent on every single person's practice, how busy you are, your prescribing habits, how much you're prescribing. It's like, I really just can't tell you that,
Yeah.
yeah, it changes with my men's health clinic all the time, when we first
Mhm.
started, I think I bought like 10 bottles of testosterone to have like 10 30 ml bottles. I bought a lot. That
Mhm.
shit sat there forever, and like, some of it expired. And I was like, well, damn, okay. That was a. Waste of money,
All right. So I'm not alone in that. That's good to
No,
know.
no, you are not alone whatsoever. I hear this all the time. How many vials of vitamins should I buy, when I first open up? And it's like, well, enough for a
I
dozen.
thought I went conservative, but who
Yeah.
knows?
And that's the problem with IV infusion. It's really hard to predict that stuff. And a lot of people end up just wasting money on that stuff.
Hmm.
My recommendation for IV infusion and vitamin injections is pick 2 or 3 infusions that use pretty much the same ingredients and call it a
Hmm.
day.
That's
You
where I have
know,
it. That's
yeah.
exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay. And you might have bought it too early and you didn't get opened up and that kind of a thing. It's just a timing
Hmm.
issue. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But
Hmm.
um my recommendation for you is I would try to focus more on vitamin injections versus infusions. Uh,
Injections. Okay.
yeah, it's so much easier. Infusions are such a yes. I've said this before. You gotta sit there, you gotta start the IV, you gotta hang the bag, you gotta mix the ingredients. The
Hmm.
patient has 5 minutes to get the infusion. Then they have to wait 15 minutes so they don't have an adverse reaction. Like, these
Hmm.
people are in your office for an hour and a half, you know.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to worry about being USP compliant and all of it. I just don't like it. I find it's worth my time. I don't make enough money to justify doing it. So, a vitamin injection, it's so much easier. Here's your B
Got
complex
it.
shot. Boom. Here's your B12
Got
shot.
it.
Boom. Here's your NAD. Here's your glutathione. It's so much easier,
Got it. Yeah. Hmm.
So,
Okay. That's
yeah,
good advice.
have some IV bags there and that kind of a thing, but don't
Hmm.
don't bet the farm on it. All right, you're gonna
Got
make
it.
a hell of a lot more money on weight loss and hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot more
All
money.
right. Sounds good. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That
So
seems like
so
a good place to put my focus as far as that's concerned.
yeah,
Cause yeah, it is a lot of detail for all those things. And I, even like trying to calculate the total cost of that infusion, and is it really, yeah. And
and
I had my husband as a test patient the other day, and I was like, damn, this takes long.
it's a
That's
pain
the
in
first
the
thing I
ass.
said.
Yeah, unless you have an RN that you do it for you, it's just a pain in the
Yeah.
ass. I don't,
Hmm.
I'm not a fan. So,
Yeah.
have it there. If a patient comes in, they want an infusion or whatever. Okay, cool. You know, charge them $200 or whatever. Make it worth your time. But don't worry about it too much. So in terms of the inventory goes, you're going to find out in the next month or two, what's going to work for you. So just keep track of things. How long do these bottles last you? The semaglutide, the B12, the testosterone, whatever it is that you're doing, and take notes and stuff. That way you get a good idea. And then when you place your orders, you'll have a good idea of, okay, this is probably what we'll use. The beyond use date is this, so we should be safe. We always look at the beyond use dates of stuff, before we order, because the compounding pharmacies usually will list the beyond use date of their current batch.
Yeah.
And at the beyond use date is like 2 weeks out, or there's no way in hell I'm ordering. So keep that in mind. In terms of budgeting goes, this is another thing that you're going to kind of find out over the next couple of months. You can forecast your budget. You can forecast your revenue. You can do all that kind of stuff. I always thought it to be a complete waste of time. I just do. I prefer to just throw $10,000 in the bank account a day and let's just see what happens. Just be frugal. Don't buy a bunch of nonsense you don't need. Try to have a very low overhead practice. Keep it as lean as possible, right? And then budgeting doesn't really matter that much. All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and the other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode. I personally have always found just ways to come up with a budget. So I don't think it's really all that necessary. Calculate out the basic stuff, right? How much is your rent going to be? How much is how much are your utilities? Calculate out that basic, what's my monthly burn rate kind of a thing, outside of that, medications, supplies, those sorts of things, that stuff comes and goes and is going to vary every single month. So it's really hard to predict. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure how much I should worry about that. I think that, I'm kind of trying to, I've been chilling out a lot more. I think in the months leading up to when I was, opening, I was a little bit more freaked out about that. And now that I have everything, I'm like, okay, you're open now. Let's just work on focusing on that, on your patients. And
right. That's exactly what it is. Just focus on seeing some patients and getting people through the door, collecting payment and providing good care. That's what you need to be focused on.
Yeah. Last week was a good week. For week 2, I was, I was like, okay, great. I was at just under 2,000 as far as revenue. And I'm going to complain about that. That's 6 patients. I'm doing pretty good.
There you go. Like that should, the curtain should be lifted, from your eyes there. Like that's 6 patients, $2,000. And it took you a whole whopping, 6-7 hours?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
So it was encouraging, I'm trying to kind of chill out a little bit more about that. I like to kind of think ahead, and I'm like, this is going to be something that's going to be fluid and moving and changing,
Yep.
Just like my everything looks like it's going to change too.
Yep. This is never set it and forget it thing. No business is, that doesn't exist. No business is like that. It's always constantly changing. That's the fun thing about being an entrepreneur, a business owner. It's never, it never really gets boring, unless you just kind of get into that routine and you end up setting and forgetting it kind of a thing, which can happen. But that's the great thing about being a business owner. It's usually something new every day and you can do new things. It's not like going to a job that you really don't like and you're clocking in and you just can't wait till 5 or 6 o'clock comes around so you can get the hell out of there. You dread Sunday you got to go to work the next day. Like it's typically not like that as as a business owner.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, any other questions? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, you always talk about, I've heard you talk several times in previous podcasts, and just, the importance of just having, some other sources of income. And, I've been out there, I obviously left my job. So I didn't have anything necessarily to hold on to. And I've been out there. I did actually, do some, local traveling gigs, if you want to call them locums things. And none of that was consistent enough. I'm trying to find at least a day. If I can get an 8 to 12 hour day per week, I think that's all I need. But that's really hard to find. So I have taken a job as a 1099 with a facility that did hormones. But again, that's where I first discovered this, people that are not medical running practices, and, they weren't sure, they were just way out of compliant with a lot of things. I saw needles sitting in rooms and no sharps containers, no gloves for anything. And it was just a little crazy. And I basically shut them down for a week. Didn't end up going back there because I was like, I'm getting ready to start a practice. I can't get myself mixed into this. So I've been trying to find something a little more legit, it's the question I have is, a lot of the 1099 jobs out there, they're jobs that take insurance, and I've kind of been weighing the possibility of, do I need to opt out of Medicare with the type of practice I have? Because, I know the legalities that can be involved in that, and, giving them services and all this other stuff. Would I be more protected if I did that? Because then that kind of holds me off of being able to take these jobs, unless they're a cash-based practice that, I'm just trying to figure out how to best navigate that, because the job market opens if I'm able to accept Medicare, but at the same time, I don't want to get in trouble here.
How many of your patients are over the age of 65?
I have 2 that I've seen since I've opened.
And
the likelihood that more over 65, if they follow, they're going to be very minimal.
Yeah, this is something that people worry about this too much. Like these first off, services are predominantly not going to be covered by Medicare anyways. Okay. So, you don't got to worry about it most of the time. Medicare doesn't cover hormone replacement therapy and, weight loss therapies for someone whose BMI might be 29.8. It's not 30, or 35 or whatever. They're definitely not going to pay for vitamin injections. Like, don't worry about it. You're not committing fraud. You're not ripping Medicare off. I've said this multiple times before, like Medicare, they spend their resources on finding people who are stealing money from them. If anything, you're saving them money, right? Like, I wouldn't lose sleep over this. Like, you're providing non-covered services first and foremost. Okay. So you're good. And at the end of the day, if you did provide someone with Medicare a covered service and you charge them cash, whoops, my bad. I didn't realize it was covered. Like, I don't think I'd lose sleep over it. I wouldn't worry about it. I think you need to opt out of it.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't worry about it.
I have a couple opportunities just to do, if I could do 112 and that's it, not have to do more than that and focus the rest of my time on my business. I have a couple opportunities from the local hospital I used to work with.
Well, there you go. That's what I would do. Just go pick up a 12, pick up 1 or 2 12s a week. Bring in an extra, $1,500 or whatever you can live off of, and then call it a day. That's all you need to do.
Okay. Perfect. All right,
I was doing medical cannabis. I was doing mental health. I was doing all that stuff all credentialed with Medicare. Like, didn't worry about it.
Okay.
It's not covered. You think Medicare is going to cover a medical cannabis visit? Hell no. You know what I mean? I didn't lose sleep. I didn't worry about it. I didn't even ask the patient if they had Medicare or not. I didn't care. Same thing with hormone replacement therapy. Okay, your testosterone level is Yeah, 305, Medicare's not going to cover it. Okay, I'm good. You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
It's 250. Okay, they'll cover the therapy, but part of my protocol, you can be 12. I see you on, concierge program and that kind of a thing. Well, they don't cover that, so I'm not worried about it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So don't
That's
worry
good
about
to
it.
know.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, if
good.
you were
That
seeing, just
I was
one
ready
more
to
thing.
take a job. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing. If you were seeing nothing but Medicare patients, okay, if you were seeing nothing but patients over the age of 65, then I would be more concerned about it. But you're not. Okay. And that's for anyone listening to this, these cash-based niche practices. The majority of your patients are going to be between the ages of 35 and 55. They don't have Medicare anyway, so don't worry about it.
I'll stop stressing about that then.
Yeah, yeah. Stop stressing about it. Go get, go get a part-time PRN job. You definitely want another income source until, your clinic starts taking off. It might be, it might be a year or two before it really starts producing, a significant income. You just don't know. Could be 3 months, could be 12. Who knows? You won't know. So
Got it.
just make sure whatever job you get on, make sure make sure there's a non-compete clause. I mean, make sure there is no non-compete clause. If you're working PRN, that shouldn't be an issue. Like, no, I own my practice over here. I'm not signing that. Get out of here for a PRN job, 1 12-hour shift a week. So
Yeah, I figured that's probably about the only thing I can get right now because I've had some, local wellness clinics reach out to me, and then as soon as they find out I'm opening my own business, they're like, "Oh, okay."
yeah,
Never
never
mind, the
mind.
competitor.
Yeah,
So,
exactly right.
so
Yeah,
I'm basically out of the running. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to do, just little rotations or something like that for now.
yeah. Pick up a shift in the ER, the hospital, an urgent care, a little sick
Yeah.
clinic, minute clinic or something. Just, something that's just kind of easy, you know,
Yep.
something kind of just
Well,
laid back.
that's the plan. I did my 17 years on the floor. I'm in my mid 40s now, so I'm really trying to avoid going back to the floor, to do RN shifts.
Yeah.
But
You paid your dues. You paid your
yeah.
dues. All right. You paid your dues.
So,
It's time to get yours now.
yep, exactly.
Yeah.
A freestanding year, maybe I'll consider that. But
Maybe a freestanding ER, right? In triage.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe a fast track, something kind of
Yeah,
just brain.
yeah, just fast track. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm a you're a nurse myself, so I get that.
Yeah. If I ever went back to the ER, I don't think I'd ever just go, I don't think I'd ever go back to the back ever again. I think like in fast track,
Oh
send me
God,
all
no.
easy shit. Just send me the abdominal pains and the coughs. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep,
Chest
exactly.
X-ray, CT scan, chest X-ray, CT scan. It's so easy. Like it's really not that hard. But yeah. Um. Anyways, any other questions?
Yeah, so I'm in Florida, in Orlando, and the leasing process was always a fun thing to go through and looking for a spot because everything here is like, 5 years medical minimum. I don't think I found anything that was under that. So I ended up getting a place that was probably a little bit larger than I wanted to. I tried to find like a doctor that was running space and all that, find my contacts. No one really was, getting into that and everything. So I have more space than what I need right now. Um, I have some rooms that I'm allowed to um basically rent out to other services. And if I want to, just to kind of help bring in some other income, that's another potential source of income. But,
Okay.
I'm worried about the risk in that. And, what would you think would be some good type of people to kind of let through the doors to kind of like
No,
professional?
yeah. Okay, well, I mean, in terms of a risk standpoint, there's not really a whole lot of risk there. There's someone that's independent, seeing their own patients, whatever, right? And you're not hiring them, right? They don't fall under your
No.
malpractice.
Mm-mm.
So I don't think I'd worry too much about that. Just make sure they have general liability that covers, if someone slips and falls in their office that they're renting from you. Just make sure they just
Okay.
have general business liability that'll cover that.
Okay.
Make sure it names you and also the landlord, right?
Okay.
That's what you want to do. Uh, so from that, I wouldn't worry too much about it. So I would find someone who obviously is be competition, right? You want someone that comes in and do a hormone replacement therapy. But what's something that can complement you do? Maybe like a car do some stuff, acupuncture, maybe even hire six. If you're not really interested in doing aesthetics, maybe you can find someone who wants to do aesthetics, who wants to sublease, a space, and then they can come in and do aesthetics and pay you a little bit of money. And,
Yeah.
those patients might, bite on weight loss and hormone replacement therapy from you and vice
Yeah,
versa,
that's true.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to be thinking about complementary stuff. What's going to complement you? I
Got
I
it.
wouldn't bring someone in there that's going to be something totally off. Like, I don't know if I'd bring in someone to come do Suboxone or something. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, okay, it needs to complement you. So
Compliment.
just be thinking about that, like, and listen to your patients too over the next month or two. Like, what is it that people are requesting? What is it that people want? Listen to them. Do what they want.
Yeah, they're already
Deliver.
asking me about aesthetics, so that's is something that I had on the table as well. So I'll look at that. I don't want to get into it myself just because I don't in Florida, I think we have to have a collaborating physician for
Yeah, I
that.
get that
You know,
last.
we have autonomy in, every in primary care and anything that falls under that, but if you go into that or you have to get a collaborator, and I just do not want to have a collaborator. So,
I don't blame you. So just whoever
yeah,
comes in, just make sure that
they
they're good
need
with
to have
that,
one.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if an RN comes in and wants to do injections, be like, okay, I am not your medical director. You are an independent person coming in here. I have nothing to do with you whatsoever. You know,
Got it.
your medical director is yours. I don't, you know what I mean? That's none of my concern. And you want to make sure that's in the contract. She's not subleasing the space from you. So, keep that in mind too, but I mean, like an acupuncturist or whatever, I mean, they just practice independently anyways, massage therapists, those kinds of things you don't really got to worry about. I mean, if you wanted to, if the Infusion tends to kind of get a little bit busier for you, then you could hire a 1099 RN to come in and do infusions for you and just work underneath you. You know what I mean? So you could do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's on my goal of things to do. I actually have a friend that suggested that to me because she's
Yeah.
always looking to pick up extra here and there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
in conversation.
But yeah, I think it's a good idea. Subleasing space, why not? Make
Mhm.
get some of your rent paid. I mean, hell, maybe even get a little bit cut off the top. So if you go to the Lead MP website, click on all articles at the top and search subleasing space, or just put sublease in there. I wrote an article about the considerations of subleasing space. It's for the person who wants to sublease space from someone else, but you basically just reverse. So it should help you.
Reverse it. Okay,
Yep.
wonderful. I'll look for
Yep.
that.
Any other questions?
Oh, I think those are the biggest things that I had on my mind. I'm just kind of, you know, trying my best. I'm getting better at, you pretty much asked the things that I was a little bit concerned or freaking out about. Now I feel like that's one less thing I have to be concerned about, and I can just enjoy the process from here on
Just
out.
enjoy the process. Yeah. Just enjoy seeing the patients, enjoy making some money, enjoy building your business. Everything else is noise. I don't know how many times I've said this, but as long as you're not hurting patients, killing patients, or committing fraud, don't worry about
Yeah.
it, Get stuff done, obviously, but it's not like, oh my God, I have to have this before I can open up the door. It's not that important,
No. No.
But you have the doors open, you're seeing patients. So, you have all that knocked out. So at this point, for you, I think my biggest piece of advice for you is just to keep your head down, see the patients, save as much money as you possibly can. Okay. Get that business bank account up to 3 to 6 months of business expenses. Okay. And never touch that money. All right. That's
Okay.
the never touch it, never lose it money. Like that is your business's emergency fund. When you have a business that has 3 to 6 months in the bank at all times, you're never running lean. You're never stressing out. Right.
Okay.
It's the
That's
same thing in
interesting.
your personal life. You have 3 to 6 months of expenses in the bank. You don't stress out about day-to-day stuff, right? You don't stress out if you don't get a pay for 1 month or something. Like it's the same thing with your business. So my biggest piece of advice for you is just save up some money, get 3 to 6 months in the bank. Okay. Get 3 months in, reassess where you're at personally, financially with the business, and be like, you know what? The 3 months feels good, but I think I'd feel better with 6 than just
Okay.
hit it and put 6 months in the bank, and that's not really a whole lot of money. This is just operating expenses. This is just to keep the door open, right?
Got it.
So your rent, your utilities, just some basic supplies, then that's it. Multiply it by 3 to 6, right? So you're probably looking at like what, 20, 30,000 bucks or something. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so keep that in your bank account at all times. Okay. It really will help reduce your anxiety, and it will really help you give you the ability to grow your business because you know you have that backing you up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Like you're willing to take a little, you have that to back you up. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one of my biggest pieces of advice. And then just be smart with your money. I mean, I've talked
Okay.
about growing, scaling your business, reinvesting money back into your business. And so always be thinking about that as well, about how can I reinvest the money back into my business to grow and scale it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and be thinking about that too. Like there's going to get to a point with your business where it's either going to plateau, you'll be the sole provider and you'll be like, you know what, I'm pretty content here. I'm working 25, 30 hours a week, making $250,000 a year. I'm content. I don't really want anything else. I'm cool with this. Let's just keep rolling. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like that. I mean, I know a lot of them people that 20 hours a week and make $200,000 a year and they're completely content and they're happy. I don't want a whole lot of new patients. I don't want to grow it. I don't want to scale it. I don't want to open up another location. Like I'm cool with this. And they just live their life. Right. So, that could be you. Or if you want to, 2 years from now, you might want to be like, I want to open up another location. I want to hire another nurse practitioner. I want to get this thing to $2 million a year or something. So just be kind of reassessing where you're at and just realize that, for you to grow and scale like that, you're going to have to put a little bit of money back in the business. So I'd like to end the episode with you asking me a question. Do you have any questions for me? Curiosity or a personal question or anything like that?
Yeah. So curiosity, this is going to go back into your classes. I see you have your weight loss class as well, because I feel like there's more that I need to know beyond what I know. I've done some semaglutide, I've done, phentermine, I've done, low dose naltrexone, the list goes on. But I do want to be able to coach a little bit more. How much do you find that nurse practitioners focus on, like coaching and meal planning? Do they do that? Include that as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, you should
Like,
definitely be doing that.
because I do that from what, obviously what I know. I check on my patients. I have Spruce, and I check on them at right now, once a week. I'll have to, delegate that once I get more busy, but, and just give them like a kind of like an idea of what to eat during the day. But, I'm not, I want to be able to have like more of a consistent, something that I actually give them versus verbal coaching. Um,
So, so yeah, I mean, the weight loss course is going to cover, like basic, nutritional planning and exercise
mhm.
coaching and that kind of a thing, right? But yeah, you should write up something that, is a basic meal plan that you can give to most patients.
Okay.
You should definitely do that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's within your scope to recommend a diet and exercise to people. It's the foundation to
Yeah.
health.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I've focused on my own wellness and training and personal, I've seen trainers for years. I do it all on my own now, but, I figured it might be nice to have something to give them to be able to, you know, because a lot of patients ask for that. And I'm like, oh, I really need to come up with something because,
Yeah. Come up with something for sure. It's definitely
yeah.
worthwhile. It's definitely worth the effort.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool.
All right.
Um,
Awesome.
well, cool deal. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I think that you're going to do very well. I mean, you have established patients. You're way ahead of the curve here, I think, because I mean, a lot of people open the door and they don't have a single patient, right? So,
Got it. Yep.
yeah. So I think you're going to do good. So if you ever want to do a follow up, just let me know.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Take care.
All right.
All right, bye. All right, I hope everyone enjoyed the episode with Aurora. She's just in the startup phase. She's only been open for, a week or two, basically. She already has some established patients, so she is going to probably do very well. So I think that the biggest thing here to take away is that, you don't necessarily need to invest a whole lot of money into marketing if you are able to get patients through other means. And by that, patients from another practice that you're working at, friends, family, etc. You don't need to spend a whole lot of money marketing if you can get patients through another means. So, I've said before that marketing is the number one function of your business. You should spend more money on marketing than anything else. Yes, that's true if you do not have any other means of getting patients, okay? But if you can get patients through other means, just do so, okay? By all means, do so. It'll save you a tremendous amount of money, and those patients will probably be more loyal. And then they will come in, and then word of mouth spreads, and it just snowballs from there. So I think that's probably what will happen with her. Anyways, I hope everyone enjoys this episode. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.